Hey, today I would like to talk to you about a book, very important book. It's called 1984. It's by George Orwell. It was published in 1949. This is a very famous book, a very popular book, and right now it's a hot topic of a book because a lot of the things that were discussed in this book, it's a science fiction book, can be kind of thought of that maybe some of the things are coming true now, or at least partially. And so I just want to take a brief time to talk about this book because I really love the book and I find it so interesting how it compares to some of our current circumstances. In the book, our main character, his name is Winston. He's 39 years old. I imagine the guy probably doesn't look too much different than myself, as I'm a 40-year-old man, okay? So imagine someone about this age. And one of the things that Winston likes to do is write in his journal, something that I've been doing for I don't know how long, forever. And the thing is, the difference between Winston and myself is that it's legal for me to write in my journal as of now in 2020, so far in 2020. We don't know how the rest of the year is going to go. That might be something that they make illegal. Who knows? But in 1984, it's illegal for Winston to write in his journal. You can't have any thoughts of your own. The government dictates all your thoughts. Now, how would they catch you writing in your journal? Well, here's how. Everywhere you go, there are cameras, and the cameras are watching you. And those cameras are called Big Brother. Big Brother is the government. So if you've ever heard the term Big Brother, you know, the television show Big Brother, well, it came from this book from George Orwell, 1984. So Winston has a tough life. His only escape is sneaking away in a little corner of his room where the cameras aren't, and he just tries to write in his journal, and he tries to figure out what life is all about, and just tries to get his own thoughts, because see, the people don't have their own thoughts. They're controlled by the government. Every day they have something called the hate speech, where projected on the television, they get together and they yell and they scream at everything they hate, and the government gets them all fired up. Now, to me, this, in some ways, is reminiscent of social media, and that the anger that we get in social media from the people who disagree with us or the things that we see, right? I mean, social media can make you so angry so quickly. So I find a comparison there. Also, the comparison to Big Brother and our phones and the technology, right? Right now, we know pretty much most of the places you walk in the city, you are being monitored. Now, granted, I don't know if they're really keeping close track. You know, hey, Kyle was walking across the street and he jaywalked. I don't think it's to that extreme yet, but it's a possibility. So that's the Big Brother. I think that a lot of what we have done with technology, including actually what I'm doing right here, right? Our need to to kind of show off, to be seen, with social media has put Big Brother on ourselves. We've actually done that to ourselves with our Instagrams, our Facebooks, our Snapchats, whatever it is you use, where you put yourself out there and to be displayed. Now, in the book 1984, there are no families. There's no family, traditional family that we know, which is very interesting because Brave New World, it had a similar theme. That's another book that I'm going to do a book report on as well for you guys. But that's the theme. There is no love. So Winston, he sees this girl with black hair. Her name's Julia. He falls in love. Well, have you ever seen someone and you like them, but you also hate them at the same time? That's how he feels about Julia. So he sees her. He thinks she's attractive, but he hates her because he kind of hates her because he knows that he's not going to be able to do anything with her because you can't really. Well, and he doesn't know if she's a good person or a bad person, if maybe she would turn him in and to the thought police. The thought police is something that they have. The thought police, this is very interesting. The thought police control your thoughts. You can't have any thoughts that the government doesn't want, which is very interesting, especially in terms of social media and the cancel culture. Because right now we're living in the cancel culture, right? We all know about that, where if you post anything that people don't like, they ban you. You can't say, hey, you know what? You can't even disagree. You can't question things. I disagree with the protests or the riots. What? You're canceled. You can't have your own thoughts. You can't have your own opinions. We're seeing that happen right now. You know, we see it if we've seen TV stars get canceled and then there's a hypocrisy, right? Because it's like, one star might say something and they might get canceled because the media doesn't like what they are saying, and then another star might say something just as ridiculous, but they won't get canceled because the media likes what they're saying. Let's say Alyssa Milano says some real mean, nasty things. Well, she should be canceled, but she isn't. Roseanne said something stupid. She got canceled. Why? What's the difference is because the higher powers, the media, the governments, they have their sides. They want certain things out. They don't want other things out. So that is thought police. The thought police. Now we are making our own selves subject to the thought police right now with our social medias. You post something on Twitter, Facebook, your real thoughts, and then people come at you for them. Heck, even this video, I'm undoubtedly sure there will be some jerk or, you know, jerkette that comes after me for, you know, saying this or pointing out the proof that Alyssa Milano is a garbage can. So, with that being said, our star of our story, Winston, our main guy, he also, there's a guy named O'Brien, and O'Brien is kind of a higher up in the society, and Winston starts believing that maybe O'Brien, maybe he's like secretly against the government and the totalitarianism. So he kind of starts trying to get closer to O'Brien, and at the same time, Julia, she slides Winston a letter, and the letter just says, "I love you," and then they begin an affair. And how they do it, they have to sneak away. So they would go somewhere like this, out where nobody is, you know, and they would make love. And so he finally, his first time in his life at 39 years old, he's feeling real passion, real love, real stuff, you know. He's feeling it for the first time ever at 39. Stuff that we take for granted, right? So, and it shouldn't even be saying taken for granted. That should be what life is. Life is all about that. Love, passion, romance, family. But all that's stripped from them. Totalitarianism. This is the communism. And the very interesting thing that George Orwell says in this book is the end of people's freedoms came under socialism. Socialism, my friends, is something we must be very afraid of and we must stop. Quite honestly, we must stop socialism, because socialism turns to communism, turns to totalitarianism. And this book was, he used Soviet Russia and the Nazis as kind of thought for him making this, you know, it's kind of a directive for him to make this. So Winston falls in love with Julia, and Winston goes to O'Brien, and O'Brien gives him a book, and Winston is thinking that O'Brien is on his side against the government, the totalitarianism. Winston reads the book. He makes love with Julia. Boom! Thought police kick open the door, arrest them both. Now, they take them away. Another thing I want to point out is the word social distancing, and how in this book people had to be distanced, right? It was illegal for Winston to carry on romance with Julia. That was illegal. And you think about social distancing, they're trying to do the same thing, implementing the same tactic with social distancing to keep us apart, to keep us afraid. The other thing is, it was pointed out in this book that the children were always telling on people for doing anything that might go against the government. Orwell said that the people who told the most and were the easiest to get to under government control were women and children. You look at our society today. You look at what recently happened with the riots and the people who were out causing the most trouble. It was young people, okay, who didn't know any better, who were young and just easy to because their minds are easy to turn, and women. We saw a bunch of ridiculous women, and women, I love you, but some of you are ridiculous, and you're not as strong. The reality is you're not as strong as men. I know there's some UFC fighters out there who are women who will whoop my butt, okay? Though I'm not disagreeing with that. It's a possibility. But generally speaking, a man who's been around the block has his own way and carries himself in a certain way. A woman doesn't have that, okay? A lot of them don't. And they're easy to manipulate. In fact, if you look at the worst politicians we have in our country right now, they are women. You got AOC, you got Gretchen Whitmer, You got the other lady I can't remember from Somalia. But those are, and Nancy Pelosi. Those are the worst. They're the easiest to manipulate. They're easy. They're always trying to throw us under government control. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I know I'm going to get some hate from that, but I'm only telling you the truth. So that is something to be afraid of. Now, you look at the riots that recently happened. What did we see? We saw a lot of women, a lot of white women, which was really unfortunate. We even saw white women yelling at black police about racism. Okay, how does that make any sense? I have no idea. It doesn't. So there we are. We got this social distancing, which causes, since they weren't social distancing, having a love affair, they were questioning the government, which George Carlin, my legendary hero, says question everything. Here was our hero of the story, Winston, questioning everything. Boom, they arrest him. They take him away. They put him in this prison, and they start torturing him. Don't give him food. Knock out his teeth, beat the living crap out of him, put like wires in him, electrocute him, shock him, everything. And they knew what his biggest fear was. And his biggest fear was rats. Winston was terrified of rats. So what they did was they released rats on him, and he finally gave in. And he said, it wasn't me, it was Julia. And he blamed everything on Julia. And in that moment, he lost his integrity. And integrity is all a man really has. You can take everything from someone, but it's their integrity. It's their integrity that really matters. And so in that moment, he lost his integrity. And then after they took that from him, they beat him down to a pulp. They took everything, including his integrity. And then he confessed his love for Big Brother and the government. They beat him down so bad that he gave up and gave in. You look at our situation right now in the world. You see so many people giving in and giving up with their beliefs, right? I mean, I keep using the mask thing as an example, and I'm sure that people are getting upset at me because I think that this is so awful. But it's like, as an adult human, you can take in information and listen to it and make your own decisions on what's right or wrong. There's some reasons why people might wear masks, and then there's decent reasons why you wouldn't want to wear a mask. I mean, breathing in your own carbon dioxide and all that thing, and just the fact that you feel like a dang criminal. And so the fact that our governments are currently beat us down to the point where we are telling on each other for wearing masks. People are afraid not to social distance. You're getting all these restrictions and things, and they're beating us down, you know, and you can see it happening. People are giving up their integrities because of the fear of the government and what they might do, right? And then what do we have? We have totalitarianism going on. You know, you're seeing it big time. Gavin Newsom, total totalitarianism. Mayor Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, totalitarianism. Cuomo, totalitarian. These people are totalitarian, and they keep switching. And we don't know what's the truth and lies, because we are being lied to, just like they lied to people in 1984 with the news and the media. They're lying to us constantly, so we don't know what to believe. And in this book, they took Winston down. He pledged his allegiance to the Big Brother, which isn't like pledging allegiance to America, which we are the most free country as of now. Can we sustain it? It's going to be up to us, the people, to fight back the tyranny and the communism and the socialism. We have to fight back. And that's what this book is about. It's a warning. It's a warning not to back down, not to let these tyrants, not to let Pelosi and her garbage can crew dictate us and push us around, not to let Cuomo send old people into nursing homes knowing that they already have COVID-19 and killing them. Cuomo's a killer. I know I'm getting angry. I'm getting pissed. I'm getting pissed thinking about what they're trying to do to us, and knowing that the great authors in front of us, the great authors before us, predicted this and warned us. It's time that you get off your social media. Get off that garbage can. Start reading, informing your stuff, and do what George Carlin said and question everything. Because at the end of the book, Winston, he was no longer himself. He was just a shell of himself. And I'm looking around at the world, and I'm seeing the people walk by in their masks, and they're just shells of themselves. They're cowards. And that's what the government broke Winston down into a coward, giving up the one true thing he ever had in his life, Julia, the one true love he ever had, and he gave her up because the government beat him down. And goddamn, it makes me angry. You're goddamn right it does. Knowing right now that they're trying to pull that on us. Well, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to continue to read. I'm going to continue to educate myself and make myself better. And I will never bow down. I will never bow down to anyone. I will never bow down to these racist groups out there right now. I won't do it. I won't bow down to the government and their tyranny. I won't bow down to their lies. I won't naively believe what they say. There's a reason that these famous writers predicted this stuff anew. They were tied into these inside circles, and with a little thought, you can see how people can be tricked, conceived, and want to just give in. Well, I'm not going to give in, because at the end of that book, something sad happened too. Julia walked right on by Winston, and he couldn't even look at her, because all of his integrity was gone. I'd rather die with integrity than live without it. I'll kill myself before these sick people out there tearing down our statues. And let me bring that up too. In 1984, the book 1984, there was no history. The government had erased the history, so nobody knew what their history was. Why do you think they're tearing down these statues right now? This isn't just a group of random people doing this. This is planned. George Soros and his crew have planned this, okay? The bad guys. We are now in a situation where there is good and evil. I know I'm on the side of good. It's a fact. That's the one true thing in the whole world. I'm on the side of good. I won't tear down my history, our history. It's how you learn. But when your history is torn down, you have nothing to learn from. And that's exactly why they're sending these people out to tear down the history. And I'm aware that this video might stir some of you up, because maybe you can't handle the truth. But I suggest you go out and read George Orwell's 1984. Make your own decisions. See how it affects you. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I will never cower. I will never back down. You better kill me before you take my integrity. It's swine time.